Well, let's start the news. Scientists around the world race against time to find a vaccine or cure for coronavirus. Some young men and women believe they already have an antidote. For them, marijuana gets rid of the virus. Now, this is one of the many myths Joy News will highlight in our new series titled Combating Fake News. Henry Kwesi Bedu brings you today's episode after a visit to one of the ghettos right here in the capital.
The waves crash against the shore here at Choco. The fishermen move up and down. Some are going out to sea while others mend their nets. Dotted along the shore are makeshift structures that people call ghettos, with marijuana sold in there. Many more people go there these days following the outbreak of COVID-19 because of this.
Well, we heard that they say when you smoke the weed, you are not going to get infected. So right now, we the smokers, we are smoking it times 20.
Now, 9 out of the 30 persons who tested positive for coronavirus in the Volta region have been discharged from the isolation center following their full recovery. 6 of the recovered persons were part of some illegal immigrants intercepted at the Ghana-Togo border at Aplau and have since been handed over to the Ghana Immigration Service for appropriate legal actions to be taken. The Volta Regional Deputy Director for the Ghana Health Service in charge of public health, Dr. Kwesi Jokoto, has been speaking with Joy News about these recoveries.
The region started with 9 cases about 4 weeks ago. 6 of them were quarantine cases in Ketu cells, 2 from Hohoi and 1 from O. We did contact tracing. We followed up on 521 of them. And then after that, 19 of them tested positive. So together with that and 3 more cases we picked up from surveillance, our total case count in the Volta region is 30. Out of the 30, 9 have fully recovered and they have been discharged. Before you are discharged, we do 2 consecutive tests. If they are negative, then you can go home. We properly counsel all the clients that we have. Even before they come, they sit down with a psychologist. They are taken through what they would potentially face. Then before you are discharged, you are taken through the same thing so that we give you enough psychosocial support. Now, stigmatization is one other hurdle that we have to clear. So what we do is to engage the community where they come from, the household, so that they properly understand that now that they have been cured, there's no potential of them spreading COVID-19 to anybody around them.
Okay.
Back here in Accra, a couple of months back, the president issued an executive instrument which, among other things, introduced social distancing as one of the ways government is seeking to curb the spread of coronavirus. This has meant that all passenger vehicles have had to reduce the number of persons they board, except for people who operate commercial motorbikes who could no longer take passengers. Now, some of the operators, who are also known as Okada, however, say complying with this directive is as good as being deprived of their livelihoods. Emmanuel Lante has been speaking with some of these riders and brings us more.
If they say they will ban Okada, they no go help, because plenty people are not saying you do Okada, mostly be criminals. So we say the ban Okada, we don't give us any percentage, so we could take my business. But I say, well, we want ban Okada. How we go do?
A desperate Okada rider threatening to return to petty robbery, popularly known as kwashi. His situation sums up that of many other commercial motor riders who've been out of business for more than 2 months as government imposed bans and other restrictions aimed at halting the spread of COVID-19. The Okada business, in particular, has been stopped since government announced social distancing measures. But the riders say they are now feeling the pinch of the ban.
As for the lockdown, it has affected plenty of we Okada riders. Because right now, this is what we do to survive. We have wives and kids. So this is what I do, then I survive. Since this lockdown came, they say we Okada riders, we're not supposed to carry anyone on the motorbike. Government should talk. Maybe if you don't carry someone on your motorbike, you have to make sure that the person is wearing nose mask. That's all. If not, we cannot survive. And if the government cannot allow us to work there, then you have to give us our daily bread so that we can survive at home.
This Okada rider says he's an ex-convict. He calls himself Baller Man. For him, it has become critical, and if he does not act fast, he might go back to jail.
Me like this, me are from jail camp. They help me. I get 3 children. I take money to watch my wife, then my kiddies. So he said the ban Okada, it no bring any sense. So make the government watch, make it help we the Okada people. This thing can bring more crime because he said we should wear masks. Somebody can wear masks, use the mask to go and rob. How that makes sense?
Charles and other colleagues of his also sided with Baller Man. They believe the hunger they are going through now will push them back into other nefarious activities just to survive.
Sitting at home, my brother, is not easy. So that's what we have to tell the government. We beg the government, you should do something about that. The Okada, they say they will ban the Okada, then they have to give us work. Otherwise, we will come out with face-to-face. You understand me? We will face them.
For this patron of the Okada business, their inability to work freely is inconveniencing them.
A little bit to decide. She decided a little bit. She decided a little bit to.
Well, we're sorry for that loss of sound and the breaking pictures towards the end of that story. But great story nonetheless. But that's it. It's capping. It's for all of us here when it comes to the latest news updates. And before we go for a break, it is your birthday. You work with our MCR, Emmanuel Kwesi-Glate. We normally call you with the name Posse. Posse, have a great one. It's your birthday today. Okay, we're taking a break. When we come back, myself, Mamavi, we will be doing the newspapers. But again, we have to tell you, we have Manifest right here on the show. And then we have Lawyer Nti. You all will remember him, the character from Kejetia, Ketia, and Makula comedy series. And I tell you, you will enjoy all these interactions. Do stay with us. Well, when we have a story about all the fake news that we want to combat based on the series we're undertaking, one of my friends, Salif Ukomba, said he wanted 2 of the roles of the hemp. That was very funny. We'll see how it goes. Mamavi, we're having all the series about combating fake news.
Yeah, absolutely, which is very important. I like it, and I didn't think somebody would think that if you smoke marijuana, you'll be immune to this virus. Really, really strange that that's somebody's thinking. But I hope that we've been able to, clear things up for you. If you were thinking that way too, perhaps if you're buying into that idea, now you know. It will kill you even faster than the virus. All right, Roland, it's finally Friday. Let's do the newspapers. I'll start with the Daily Graphic newspaper front page. This is a picture that I've seen. It was captured by one of the newspapers yesterday. The picture of ACP Kwesi Ofori, who is the Director of Operations of the Accra Regional Police Commander, advising a hawker. Roland, I saw it yesterday, refresh my memory, was captured in one of the papers, except that it wasn't on the front page. But you see it on your screen shortly, that picture there. No mask, no entry measure enforced in Accra. Also, government direct 2 companies to start talks on new oil fields. Invest in information dissemination, Kufuor urges African leaders. And the banner headline, stimulus for 200,000 businesses, 600 million Ghana cedis to empower operations. That's the front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. If you check the center spread, well, essentially the no mask, no entry measure enforced in Accra. You see some policemen enforcing the directive in the central business districts of Accra. Details there says with an increasing number of people testing positive for COVID-19 in the country, the Accra Metropolitan Assembly has stepped up measures to enforce the wearing of nose masks by residents, particularly in the central business districts of the city, including the market. Also prepare for post-COVID-19 challenges. That's a call from the European Union. Ghana has been urged to prepare for post-COVID-19 challenges that may occur after the pandemic in order not to be overtaken by events. And importers, freight forwarders undergo training in new clearance system in Tema. On the back page, mob attacks at Dabraka police station, 3 cops injured. One of the bizarre stories that you would hear. This is a bit of the details. 3 policemen were injured and 4 vehicles damaged when a mob attacked the Dabraka police station in Accra last Wednesday. The mob also dumped the lifeless body of a man believed to be aged between 35 and 40 years at the charge office of the police station. As of press time yesterday, the police were yet to establish the cause of the attack. So this is more of just picture this. They stormed the police station, angry that the police may have caused the death of somebody in the community. So they brought along with them to the police station the body, the dead body of this person, and dumped the dead body in the police station and decided to assault all the officers they saw, all the policemen at the police station at the time, and just left the body and left the police station. This is
very bizarre.
Yeah.
I think they should be held accountable for this. They should face the law appropriately, full rigors of the law, as we say it. And look.
Yeah, and the suspicion of the police, let's just bring a bit of that. So a policeman had gone to a garage at Odona, a community within Adabraka, to take delivery of his vehicle, which he had taken to a mechanic for repairs. The policeman walked towards the garage. An unidentified man jumped into the Odo River, seemingly on seeing the uniformed policeman. The Nima Divisional Police Commander, who's narrating this incident, said the policeman suspected that the man thought that he, the policeman, was there to arrest him. Almost immediately after the man jumped into the river, a group of young men emerged from the community, assaulted the policeman, and tore his uniform. He was, however, rescued by 2 of his colleagues, and he later reported the incident at the Adabraka police station, claiming that he could identify his assailants. So a bit of the backstory there for you, but this is all being narrated by the police. So this is the police angle to what had happened. Also, UNICEF supports COVID-19 fights. Also another story on the back page of the Daily Graphic newspaper.
A finder lady.
Yes, I'm a finder lady. So why don't we just follow up with a finder? On the front page of the finder, 5.06 billion Ghana cedis paid to the poor citizens, 2.1 billion Ghana cedis paid in cash, 2.95 billion paid in bonds, cash payment for 98% of 290,000 depositors. NPP donates to National Chief Imam and Muslim community. Ghana's confirmed cases of COVID-19 peaked on April 25, according to Dr. Bedu Sarkodie of the Ghana Health Service. And this is what has been generating the controversy. And they had to be clarified with the graphs finally coming out yesterday. Well, some people are still a bit unsettled. But what have we been told? To trust the system, right? If we have to win the fight, we've got to trust the system. Yeah. Cabinet examines COVID-19 impacts and recovery measures. That's how it looks like by way of what's covered on the front page of the paper. But the story that needs to be highlighted is on page 5 in the Finder. It says NCCE needs resources to undertake COVID-19 education. Scores of civil society organizations have called on the government to resource the National Commission for Civic Education to enable it educate the public on the novel coronavirus, also known as COVID-19. We know they're woefully under-resourced, the NCCE. And let's do the Ghanaian Times. That's the next paper, the Ghanaian Times, front page. Ghana's COVID-19 positive cases decline as she scores 3,019 confirmed cases, 18 deaths, and 303 recoveries, according to the Ghana Health Service. There's a picture of the director, Dr. Patrick Kuma Abowaji. Still on COVID-19, stimulus package for businesses, 200,000 SMEs to receive 600 million Ghana cedis. Shiv Imam urges MPP NDC to collaborate to fight COVID-19. We want Ghana state to progress. We want Ghana state to progress peacefully. That's according to Ni Obedru the first. Details of that also in the paper today. Center Spread has got details of what's on the front page, but there's a story: cabinet retreats underway to review COVID-19 impact on economy. A 3-day cabinet retreat is underway to review data gathered on the impact of the novel coronavirus on all sectors of Ghana's economy and develop measures to address challenges. Speaking at a press briefing in Accra yesterday, Information Minister Kojo Ponkroma said the meeting would enable cabinet to discuss the impacts and proposed recommendations to build the economy. All right, let's finish off the back page of the Times. UK-based Ghanaian doctors, dentists give PPE worth 52,500 Ghana cedis to 3 entities. Is on the back page of the Ghanaian Times. 3 Chinese also donate items worth 35,000 Ghana cedis to New Life Children's Home. The last paper, before Roland comes in with what he's got, your pull him down can't destroy me, alluded to NDC. This is not a man who keeps
Very
quiet.
fascinating.
This is not a man who keeps quiet. I think they should have just let him be, really. NPP picks 2020 campaign team. Mark Menu still leads the charge. Well, congratulations to Mr. Peter Makmenu. So you see the team on the front page of the Daily Statesman: Peter Makmenu, Efua Sabia Sare, Mustafa Hamid, John Boydu, Lord Kome, Sami Ewuko. I guess no surprises there. More Mahama lies exposed. Rwanda, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire benefiting from IMF COVID-19 support. And they've got some spots on the back page on coronavirus. Germany's Bundesliga to resume behind closed doors on 16th of May. Yaya Toure backs Didier Drogba's bid for Ivorian FA president. Oh, Didier Drogba wants to be Ivorian FA president. I will fly there to support him. I'm not sure why. Maybe because there was
the election that was first convened, and then subsequently he lost. And look, there was something that happened, Mamavi. All his former colleagues, those who played with him and those who played for the national team, who are administrators but former players, did not vote for their kind. But it's for good reason. And if you look at the history of this very current election, you get to find that the one that Didier Drogba was contesting against was somebody who had been endorsed by the former FA boss and had actually, learned through the ranks. Yeah. So, football administration is not the same as just being a former player. It's you also need to go through the ropes and make sure you learn or hone your trade. Yeah. Kind of.
They still continue to say that the Didier Drogba still is not getting support from the former players. Yes. So this will be a tough one, right? What can we do as Ghanaians to support him so he wins? I don't know. I want to see him do
there's nothing.
Else,
it's only accolades you can get. That's all. You have no power because you're not a delegate when it comes to the votes.
Yeah. So the incumbent is likely to win, isn't it? Well,
yeah,
maybe people will change their minds.
Not that he's the incumbent. He's been part of the old administration.
No.
So kind of.
Okay. 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 Well, all right, that's it for the Daily Statesman. Roll and roll.
Well, let's go to the Observer. Has on the front page, Sayo as Alotejikos fires NDC over suspension.
What does Sayo mean? Like Sayo is, because I hear...
we told you kind
like,
of. Sayo. As Matthew and Alotejikos fires NDC over suspension saga. We already do know that the host of the program had been quoted in sections of the media saying that, look, Alotejikos had sacrificed, will come from Cape Coast, the central regional capital, to appear on the program for that slot, and he's a good commentator, has great experience.
He gives them good content,
and so the production team will decide who becomes. Yes.
No, but that's how it works. You see, you don't always run to the political parties to give you a representative or a resource person. Your production team will look around and see, for the conversation that you're going to have, who is a better resource person to have. Well, and it's your choice. Unless you put an embargo on your party representatives and tell them, listen, if they call you, don't go unless the directive is coming from us. But they are very independent people, like Alotejikos, for instance. You can call him. You're not calling him because he's an NDC person. You're calling him because you know he can contribute greatly to the discussion that you're having. And he will give you the sound bites. So, hello.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
That's somebody who produces programs. So
I think that if a political party is going to take a step, you know, you've got to step back a bit and think about the move that you're making.
In terms of the repercussions.
Yeah. I mean, I can call Alotejikos not because he's an NDC person or he's the suspended former chairman of the central region of the party, but it's because he's a citizen. He's a Ghanaian. And he's abreast with all the national issues, and he can contribute. Yeah.
Charlie, something tells me you've had this debate
Which
elsewhere.
one is that? No, I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't.
Okay, so we have the other stories on the front page of the Ghanaian Observer. McMahon, who heads MPP's election 2020 campaign. We have coronavirus update. Ghana's positive case count declining according to the Ghana Health Service. We brought you that live right here on the channel when the briefing was taking place on Thursday. We have other stories also dominating the front page. Straight away, let's tell you what is put on the screens, the front page of the Daily Dispatch newspaper. John Boadu now declares MPP will not handpick parliamentary candidates. The story is on the back page, and it indicates a comment or an emphatic statement that the General Secretary of the ruling MPP has made, and says, look, nobody will be given the free chance. Democracy will be the winner at the end of the day. Kwesi Appiah to drag Ghana to FIFA over $185,000 debt. I think he's old. He has to be paid. It's simple as that. Ghana's top 10 vocal female MPs in 2019. And the vocal MPs are all there. And you find a number of them. There's Abena Osei, Asari, Tiwa East, and Eslo Kufu. We have Ladi Ayi Ayemba, MP for Pusega. Elizabeth Afolekwe, Member of Parliament for Krowo, and then Sophia Karen Akwaku, Member of Parliament for Domiabra Obom constituency. On the back page, there's again another spread or flash of the publication on Thursday. If MPP handpicks parliamentary candidate, Akufo-Addo could lose. So I guess the editor wants to tell you that, look, he was given the caution. At the end of the day, the General Secretary of the MPP says that's how it's gonna be. Let's go to the Daily Guide. Daily Guide has on the front page, I didn't kill Mills, says Mahama. Daily Guide. And we also do know that there was an interaction the former president had on his Facebook page, or said he would have on his Facebook page, and I'm sure it's from where they quelled all this to do this publication. But already, the legal representatives of the former president had made a report to the police CID for investigations to be made into this. Attached also was a video when Abronye appeared on the TV. Now we have COVID-19 hits over 3,000 Attached is a picture of the health minister. Fomena Kumeu Hospital's contractor back to work. As a good thing. Good news for residents in Fomena and Kumeu, especially as their chiefs had been advocating for a return to work of the contractors. Minority MPs cry over COVID-19 response. There was a whole news conference that also engendered a lot of debate in the media subsequently, especially on Joy FM, right here also on Joy News, with a lot of discussion, leading members of the minority commenting subsequently. Back page of the Daily Guide, we do have Asamoah beats them all in Asia Champions League, and then COVID-19 yellow card for spitting, so it's now not allowed. So if you know that for example, the league that is going to resume, there are 9 matches to be played in the Bundesliga before the season comes to a close, and then a new one starts, and by next week we're hoping that that league will resume. No spitting any player. And as if just to emphasize this, an image of this should be Mahrez, right? Mahrez plays for Manchester City, spitting. Sputum. All right. It is disgraceful to pay me in COVID-19 period, and it's good that Cadiz defender Rafael Jimenez, Jack Farley, has said it will be disgraceful for him to be paid by his club. It means that he's empathizing with the club as well. That's a good thing for many players to undertake. There's something interesting, Mama View, on the front page of the Go Street Business, and it talks about how the cedi depreciation has resumed because we're having demand of exports or imports from China. And if you look at the data internationally, there's wider indication that Chinese exports are rising, because data available is already indicating that global export from China unexpectedly grew by some 3.5% year on year in April, in defiance of the market expectations of a 12.1 percentage plunge or decline, and an actual 6.6% fall as would have been the prediction, or was the prediction for March, but this didn't happen. Rather, you found a 3.5% demand, and that's, look, this was the first growth in overseas sales since December 2019 for China. And it's affecting our city. And talking about the city, we have rates on the front page of the Go Street Business. And well, if you want to buy the US dollar, it's going for 5.5. You're selling, they'll buy it at 5.6 from you. And the pound sterling is being bought. If you're somebody in Ghana, you want to buy it on the market, 6.8. They'll buy it from you, 6.9 or 6.8 subsequently. All right.
You're through?
I am through.
All
There's
right.
a story about GRA pilot to rename Unipass at Port. Yeah. It's okay.
All right, let's turn our attention to MyJoyOnline.com. We'll also do the BBC before we wrap up. We've got some great conversations on the show today, including a brand new one that Manifest dropped when y'all were sleeping. We know they hear. That's the title of that one with Kevin Boy.
Okay.
He's on our show this morning.
Right.
It's a lovely tune. Okay, let's run through MyJoyOnline.com. So major markets in Obuasi to be closed down from Friday, May 8th. Major markets will be closed down indefinitely, according to the story. That's because authorities say, people simply have failed, particularly the market women and patrons, to adhere to social distancing and other protocols meant to curb the spread of the virus. And so, after a meeting of the two assemblies and other stakeholders on May 6th, they're going to close the markets down. All right, and they say Obuasi has become the epicenter of the virus in the Ashanti region. 48 cases and 1 death. Obuasi tops the list of 16 of 43 districts in Ashanti region that have recovered, that have recorded COVID-19. So you can still click on and read the rest of it. Mahama shouldn't have had bribe-taking interview with the BBC, according to Stan Dogbe, who's an aide to former President Mahama, who spent time on the Super Morning Show. You know, he produced the late Komla Dumo when he hosted the Super Morning Show on Joy FM. So he had come back home, really, and listeners wanted to bounce everything they had heard about him, including this one. I have never smashed a journalist recorder, Stan Dogbe opens up. So this also came up yesterday and he addressed it. If you missed it, you can check details of that on MyJoyOnline.com. Health authorities get lifeline as KCCR clears backlog of samples. Ghana Health Service releases graphs to prove Ghana has reached peak of COVID-19 infection curve. And this other one also on MyJoyOnline.com. Black people in the UK 4 times more likely to die from COVID-19 than white people. That's data that's showing that. But if you read details of that story, it also gives you some reasons. The disparities are partly a result of socioeconomic disadvantage and other circumstances, but a remaining part of the difference has not yet been explained, according to the study. Mahama reports Abronya DC to police. Governments urged to open borders to citizens stuck abroad. Zoom Lion officers battle green mamba during disinfection exercise at Swedro Senior High School. So lots of stories on MyJoyOnline.com. Kindly visit the page and explore and catch up with all the headlines that you've missed. All right, let's quickly do the BBC before we wrap up, Roland Walker.
Yeah, let's go through the BBC. And of course, we're bringing you all the live updates on the World Service. Australia begins a 3-day plan to... a 3-step plan, actually, to open the country. There are many other countries that are looking at how they can ease lockdown restrictions.
Including the UK.
Yeah. Already, we do know that in Brazil, there are concerns that restrictions is forcing sections of the economy to go into recession. And President Bolsonaro is quite worried. Already, we do know that so far, 9,000 people have died from coronavirus in Brazil.
Yeah, the Brazilian situation there is different. I don't know what kind of model they're following. If you're not united in this fight, you just fail. Yeah. All right, there are some other African stories on the BBC, including this one, which I find very interesting, with Tanzania, their parliament. You know, the opposition have boycotted parliament. So first, they were directed to self-isolate for 14 days. That's because there are some prominent people in parliament, 3 of them who had died, cause not known, but they were directed to self-isolate for 14 days. But now the speaker is threatening that he's going to call police on them because they've taken sitting allowance up to about, over $48,000. And he's threatening to press charges of theft against them because you can't take the sitting allowance and boycott parliament, citing reasons that essentially have not been confirmed. So that's something from Tanzania, where police in Tanzania's commercial capital, Dar es Salaam, have asked opposition MPs to voluntarily appear for questioning after boycotting parliamentary sessions, citing coronavirus fears. Exactly.
Well, let's see. As they need to pray to.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But if you have 3 MPs dying in a matter of, they say in less than a fortnight, though the deaths have not been linked to coronavirus. So based on that, they decided there are actually 62 out of 383 seats in parliament. They have 62. But what I think what the speaker is concerned about is the sitting allowance that they've taken, and they have to sit in the chamber and work for it. Yeah.
Well, we have to break for sports. And yesterday I was listening to The Drive with Lexis Bill. And before the BBC break, Lexis was playing Jerusalem. You've heard the song before? Jerusalem.
What song is that?
Jerusalem. It's a nice song. Maybe we'll see.
But so talking about song?
I don't know. I just went to look for Jerusalem. I think it's a Southern African artist. I think so.
So sing a line there.
Charlie. But talking about song, what I'm very familiar with Manifest. And Manifest is having a new one, Mamavi.
Yeah, we will drop it here first. Later on when we have a conversation with him. So, are you Money fans? It's your show today. You've got to tune in. Let's bring you sports. We'll have the rest of the conversations after. We're going to drop it later on here on the show. We know they hear and speak to Manifest live, M.Dots, live here on the show. But we've got a very important conversation also to have, Roland Walker.
Yes, and we're asking some critical questions here because all of us are going through a lot. But what are the issues and the challenges we're going through? And we're having a conversation on what all of us may have or are losing because of coronavirus. A conversation, Mamavi, on whether job losses, collapsed businesses, or failed relationships, or marriages, or now habitating, and people will now, because of lockdown and post-lockdown, have to live together with all its attendant problems. Of course, COVID-19 has brought along with it a lot of disruptions. Some people have lost their jobs, temporary workers, laborers, some completely lost their jobs. In other instances, the business are simply insolvent. So what have you lost is the question that we put on Facebook, and here are the comments. Let's share them with you. Albert Ebi says, I lost contacts I took, which I was expecting to receive the fund after the virus, if not for the contracts, I beg your pardon, if not for the virus, I would have gotten the funds, but the COVID-19, just turned everything around. Yeah. And it's cast a certain shadow on businesses ultimately. We're going to be sharing more of the comment that we've received on Facebook and then also interact with someone that we reached out to. Dennis Osei says, my opportunity to enter into the university. Okay, so there you go. Somebody says contract, somebody says education. Stephen Kofi Ajako says, church meeting, of course, is the most I have missed. Oh. Bright says, my job. DK Moses also says my job. Yes, job. Clifford says half of my salary. Clifford Akoto says half of my salary, because we know in instances workers must agree to a slash, a cut in their salary so that they can still continue to have work. Favored Eagle says the happiness of my pupils during lessons when they're having their break, during assessment, and even after closing, when they move in groups to cross the roads. Teaching is a noble profession. That's Favored Eagle sharing what he's lost, what he's missed. Moshiba says, I've lost my capital. Soko says, job opportunity. Abdul Wahab Osman says, my job. So essentially, you can also go to Facebook and just add your voice. Abraham Allison says, half of my salary and contracts. All gone because of COVID-19. What have you also lost? Go to Facebook and put your comments there. You can also send us a WhatsApp message. We're going to put the WhatsApp number on your screen. Pope Emeritus says, my source of income is Shats. Caroline Sarah says, I'm into catering now. No orders for events. Businesses have closed. Not easy. Certainly not easy. Nessie says, I've lost my money. Mick Ville says, my job, I'm a teacher, and you can imagine how it feels. Absolutely, we can. We have very close people who have also lost very crucial staff. Joey says, my shop is closed because of COVID-19. Accra Arts Center's main patronizers are tourists, and since the borders are closed, there's no business. The whole of 2020 is going to be slow for our markets. This is absolutely heartbreaking. I've also been checking around with what people in Europe and in America have been saying, not different from what you've just heard. There's one that I read, person has worked for 10 years, says, I have never been out of work, and out of the blue, I was just called. Somebody was also sent an email
and they also just lost their jobs. Some people couldn't even take anything back because the companies didn't exist. They were just insolvent, and so they couldn't make anything back after working in some cases for 20 years. Roland, we're going to talk to one of the people who reached out and sent us a comment on that Facebook post.
Yes, we are going to have on Zoom, streaming him into the studio and helping us with the conversation, Joy Combat. And of course, we want to broaden the discussion, so we'll have the expert, and Austin Game is also there. You can see him. But on the side of counseling and the psychological aspect, we have our own Amos Kevin Anna, a guidance and counseling expert. Also, he's a church leader, and so we're bringing the conversation to you because we'll open the phone lines, Mama V, for everybody subsequently at the tail end of this great discussion to come in. That is what we do right here on the show, creating convergence, empathy, and making sure all of us are participating.
Let's start off with Joey, and good morning to all of you gentlemen. Thank you for making time. Joey.
Hi, good morning, Mama V.
Yes.
Good morning. Good morning, Mama V. And
Roland. Thank you.
Good morning, Uncle Austin. Good to see you.
Thank you, Roland. Great to see you.
Joey, I haven't heard your good morning.
Yeah, I'm good. Good morning.
Great. Good to have you, and thank you for opening up. So you sell artifacts at the Arts Center. Tell us a bit more about your business.
For me personally, I sell arts and crafts, mostly painting, t-shirts, African t-shirts and African artworks, artifacts at the Culture Center. Yeah, that's what I do.
Okay, and obviously because the borders are closed, tourists are not coming in, so you're out of business. How are you managing? How have you managed? Because it's been a while.
Well, I have been indoors for almost a month and a week, or probably a month and 2 weeks, because of the lockdown. And even when the lockdown was lifted, I went to the market, and you know, since the borders are closed, Accra Center, most of are usually the tourists. I mean, sometimes Ghanaians do patronize, but not like how the tourists do. So since the borders are closed, it has affected our business so much. And that's the situation. So I've been there after the lockdown, and there's nobody coming through, so it's just a waste of your lorry fare in and out. So you either decide to stay home or go and then sell nothing. And that's the situation.
I can understand. Yesterday I went to Malamata, and there's a particular woman I buy smoked fish from. I asked the tomato seller by her. She didn't show up, and she explained that she lives in Pokuase, and coming all the way from Pokuase to Malamata, and if nobody comes to buy, then she's even wasted money on transportation. So sometimes she simply doesn't show up.
Exactly. That's how it is. And that's how it feels. So you either decide to stay home or you go and then you don't sell anything. Maybe you just go and chat with your other friends and then come back. You sell nothing. Yeah.
So how are you taking care of yourself? Because for most of us, I mean, it's hand to mouth.
Yeah, that's the situation. It's hand to mouth. And even though our business, even without the lockdown, without COVID-19, is usually hand to mouth.
Well, Joey, thank you very much for sharing with us. Just hang in there. Let's bring in Mr. Austin Game.
Yeah.
Mr. Game, it's inevitable at this time.
So,
okay. Joey, are you trying to say something?
That's what we did. No, I'm okay.
Okay, all right, great. Mr. Game, I was coming to you, and I started off by saying that it is inevitable to lose your job at this time. I mean, if the business can't pay you, then they just have to look at your contracts and either renegotiate something or they simply let you go. But what kind of skills, negotiating skills, do you need, first of all, We know of friends, family members who have simply been asked to go because the business can't take care of them.
Thank you, Mamavi, and your brother Roland there. To be honest with you, business is a business if you have customers. And obviously, if you don't have customers, then you don't have business. Therefore, a lot of the businesses, just like our friend Joel there said, is hard hit because he has no customers to patronize his wares. And therefore, you are not in business. And that obviously goes to, both small, medium, and large corporate bodies as well. Most of them now are completely out of business. Those of them who are doing something are just warming up the place in the hope that with time, they will be able to bounce back to business again. And so it's a very difficult time we find ourselves in. This is a period when people must see themselves as stakeholders. Stakeholders are people who have interest in the success story of what they do, as well as now you don't have to take a traditional adversarial posture that we are used to in getting ourselves together to work. If you do that, you will be the loser. So it's important that we see ourselves today as partners and see how the conversation will be elevated to another level to bring about some level of appreciation of what should be done to help and support each other. I think that's what we've come to now in this new normal.
I must, Kevin, and I mean, for somebody to suddenly be called or sent an email that says, this is your last day, we cannot continue to have you in the business. I mean, that in itself, particularly around this COVID era, if it probably had happened on any other occasion, no COVID, you probably still have the hope that, you could get another job. But now, with everything else happening, who is hiring?
Nobody is hiring. Good morning, Mama V. Good morning, Uncle Austin and Roland, as well as our gentleman who has just shared his heart with us. I think that it is indeed very, there's nobody who has been able to evade or avoid the harsh realities that COVID-19 has brought to our world. They come in different degrees, and people have different coping thresholds. Some can be flexible and become adaptive to new trends. Others may not, because they would have become overwhelmed. Now, in between the person who is flexible and able to adapt and one who has become overwhelmed and therefore maybe contemplating things that they have never conceived before, is where we have to find the flexible and have adapted to new ways of earning. They should be able to support those who are not able to do so. And it is so important, like Uncle Game said, stakeholder engagement. We must see ourselves as people who must creatively co-depend on one another. The reason being that some have actually lost dear ones. Others have lost their daily sustenance. Literally, it's gone. And so between the person who has lost a daily living source of income and one who has come to a point of saying to themselves that my dreams have been shattered, there's a need for everybody to understand that indeed, like he rightly said, is a new normal. Sitting here, I've had a new normal. I'm very outdoorsy, but I have been indoors all through. This is unfamiliar. This is unlike me. And each one of us has a story to tell. Multimedia even though you do interface with technology, the volume in engaging your resource persons is unusual. So each one of us is on a path we have never been before. Some people witness certain periods, but we, this generation, this is a new normal. And so there's a need for us all to face our
and
live in a different world. For us, you know, this is a harsh reality.
Yeah, the new normal also for us is disruptions in the internet connectivity every now and then when we're having conversations, because we're heavily reliant on internet. Roland?
Yeah, and Joel, you because you work in the informal sector, how do you relate or take all the conversations from the states?
Very important one.
About, well, they are going to give maybe bailout or some incentives to businesses, etc. And how do you hope that perhaps you can also get that sort of support or extension? Well, we're having a freeze, but look, let me just go to Uncle Gome. Uncle Game, are you there? Uncle Game?
Well, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. If
you to help businesses especially widows.
Okay, we don't have the best of connections there. So I guess we'll have to let Joey hold for a while. Roland, you can talk to Mr. Game now.
I think I'll advise Joey just leave the meeting and then come in again and then join again. Perhaps maybe we can get a better connection. Now, Mr. Game, if you look at the advanced countries or even countries in Northern Africa or Southern Africa, they get to tell you numbers of job losses. Just over the last 12 hours, Uber said 3,700 staff, and these are not the drivers, had to be laid off. In the US, 30 million, etc. In our part of the world, we don't talk with data. Now, how does that guide those who employ people and how they need to plan?
Well, thank you. Well, as you know, our informal sector is virtually about 90%, and the formal sector is about 10%. Today, the informal sector is completely decimated in one way or the other. Even farmers are able to go to farm the usual way. Indeed, I have been following the news 24 hours sleeplessly, and to be honest with you, it does appear as though our country is even hard hit more than other places. The difference is that they died a lot more through the COVID-19, but we have suffered both spiritually, mentally, and work-wise, or if you like, business-wise. So the informal sector, we have to take our time to quantify really the number of fitters who are immediately out of business, the number of organizers who are immediately out of business, people, painters, and several of them, they are completely broken down, and it will take time to enable us to come to that. In the medium-sized business, including myself, I have 30 workers. I have to send almost about 22 of them home long before even the announcement of the president, because I foresaw it and took steps and engaged them. And we've been trying to manage ourselves from home. Today, I have 5 of them back to work. We've been trying to engage ourselves here and there. The hotels are not working, and we do a lot of training and workshop. This is not yet back online. So it's a very, very dicey situation. And so you need a new, like we said, the new normalcy is to enable us elevate our skill, our knowledge to another level. and learn to appreciate the dynamics of the new situation. Otherwise, our engagement will be fruitless, and marriages are being broken. I'm a mediator, and therefore I have already received a number of complaints from various homes. And so you can imagine what it is. It's no joke at all. I am a consultant to a number of companies, including hotels. I do not even have the courage to submit to them bills to pay because they have not worked. They have chained their doors. And so I do not know what to become that of the workers. Some of them are to be paid some support, as the employers term it to be. And workers need to, and the unions will have to come together to appreciate the challenge they have and take the new normalcy to the next level.
Now, Joel, I asked an earlier question. Please discard it, Joey. So this question. Your target usually will be tourists, normal visitors, and there's now the conversation about how the new normal would mean that we need to innovate. You have to change the way you do business. How do you intend reinventing yourself?
I think the best way will be online shopping. But then with online shopping, since the whole world is being hit by this COVID-19, I think even in the US and all of those people that used to come, that you would think they would want, you know, artworks and those stuff that we sell at the market. Many people have also lost their jobs. So it's a big problem because when you put it online, and most of us don't even have what the capital it takes to put it online. For instance, if you want a website online and how much to pay a month for a website, you know, all those things come into play. So I think if I've seen on Facebook and elsewhere people being given stimulus checks and all that. So if the government could help us in a way, especially with those at the informal sector, in any way that will help us to be able to support our businesses, and then we can land back on our feet again, because it has really distorted our market and our business.
If we have to take a look at the large numbers of those not in formal employment, it will mean that we need to do something about their state of mind and the sort of connectivity that they need. Mr. Amos Kevin.
Yeah, definitely, Roland. Our state of mind is very, very important in these times. It doesn't matter the level of the person, informal or formal, or expertise. In the area of managing, first and foremost, the information that comes to us. There's something known as infodemic. When Uncle Game said that he's been watching the news and following all the trends, there are some individuals following the news itself can cause a new crisis for them. So not only would they be dealing with the pandemic, they will also be dealing with infodemic, because not every information is accurate. Some information is devious, some of it distorted. Others just diabolic inklings of individuals. So you also want to manage the kind of information flow that comes to you. You should have the capacity to decipher between what is just fake news and what is authentic news. That's so important. Now, to do that, first and foremost, you must acknowledge there's a change. You see, when you live in a state of denial, your condition will be worse. And so, like Mama Vivi said, the lady who comes from Pokwase has acknowledged that there's a change in the prospects of sales of her tomatoes. So for that reason, she would rather stay within Pokwase and maybe reach out to those within Pokwase rather than taking a vehicle all the way to the heart of Accra, which is congested anyway. But you see that people are there. They may not be patronizing the things that they are supposed to be patronizing, because we must also recognize, especially those within the service industry and the sales point, consumer preferences and priorities have shifted. If you look at even what happened in the West, toilet papers became a new essential commodity. I did not understand it until it hit me at home, that we're using more toilet papers in this short period than we had used the whole of last year. And that is a real awakening call to an individual. So let's accept, yes, there's a shift, but let us also take consolation in the fact that the degrees to which these things impact us are different. Others have experienced it in a very harsh way. So instead of just counting our losses, it may also require of us to begin to look at our blessings. Because there have been some fatalities elsewhere, which have not yet hit us in the volumes that have overwhelmed very sophisticated places. I mean, the region of Italy that has been hardest hit. I spent 30 days there, and I know how rich that environment is. Very, very rich people live there. And yet look at how their health system grounded to a halt. And so we also need to come to that point. Now, we need to help people to also understand that this is not an end in itself. Life has not come to a halt. It is now good, like you said, reinventing ourselves. Because see, families need to rediscover themselves. And when people are rediscovering who they are at the home level, it is then that they realize that for all this while we've been escaping each other's negatives and the tensions that existed in us. And here we have been trained to avoid conflict, not to resolve conflict. I was a student of Uncle Game when he taught us the use of pulse, people using language skills effectively. And it is there that your communication skills then comes to the fore. If you don't know how to manage how you're going to interact and endure exchanges, you would see how tension will be in the home. And no wonder families will be breaking apart, marriages will be breaking apart, because we have always been out for like 12 hours, and then we come home and we are just heading to bed. So we haven't really experienced, except for the weekends where maybe some of us will go to the temples, the shrines, and the mosque and what have you, and then into the churches. But these have become escape valves for us. Now, the reality is this, that now we have to rediscover ourselves. And when we rediscover ourselves, we'll see our strengths, we'll see our weaknesses, we'll see how much dependent we are on each other. And for a very long time, many of us have dreaded the dependency that we have. And dependency is not necessarily negative. No. Why are we telling others to wear masks so that we also wear masks? It's because I protect myself, but invariably I also protect you. So we are actually depending on each other. Rather than try to be independent. You see, nobody is created and designed to be an island. We are interdependent on each other. Yeah. Look at the way nations are interdependent right now. So the interconnectivity and the network around ourselves now needs to be enhanced.
Okay. Absolutely.
Who you know? Who's your friend?
Yeah.
Who can you talk to? Speak to somebody rather than suffer in silence.
We will come back to the relationship issue, but I asked you a question earlier, Mr. Game. What terms should you agree to if it's your job that's being affected?
Thank you. The reality is that some of the businesses is not because the employers decide to close down. The disruption that came forced them out of business. In other countries, people are filing insolvencies. Here, we are not too much associated with insolvency. Often because of collective agreement-based type of job that we do, we tend to talk about severance and therefore demanding redundancy pay. But this is not in that domain. This is a disruption that confronted employers, and everybody have to escape for his life. We are now accounting for those who have either died or have suffered mentally in such a way that they may not even want to even go back to their jobs. In the interim, what can be done is for those who have unions, the unions and the employers will have to sit together, have a conversation, not argument, not debate, be able to reach some agreement that will satisfy both parties. You have a half glass full of water, half glass of water, you take it instead of looking for the full glass. That's what it is now. And I'm praying that normalcy, the new normalcy, will be a real normalcy. And we must also have a long-term plan that these businesses will not return to even a new normalcy in the next 3 months or 6 months. It's a long haul. It will take about 1 year for things to come back to some level of normalcy. And so people must brave themselves for it. Unions must learn to re-engage and have this kind of conversation. Employers must learn to be a little bit sober and reflect over the issues and have empathy with their workers. And together, they would have, some will have to wait to be assured of job security until the business is bounce to normalcy. Let me restate that any business without customers is no business. Therefore, North America, the mainland of the US, Europe, where people come to our country to do business with us, if they are not going to open their borders, and if they are not going to be willing to travel, because we now have to know that many of our customers are even dead. And therefore, we have to open up for a brand new understanding. It's a paradigm shift in its complete sense.
Is there would you advise litigation at this time?
It's to be tragic for you to waste your energy going into litigation. It's about conversation. It's about having mediators or facilitators and people like my friend and brother, Mr. Anand, to have that engagement, to have that conversation, to be able to find a solution that satisfies both sides. If you go to court, you will have a winner-loser kind of situation on your hand. And losers, some of them will never talk to each other again. Some of them will never relate again. So this is a time for a facilitated type of mediation and negotiation in an interest-based approach, not the traditional adversarial approach, take it or leave it. Positional bargaining will lead you to nothing.
But, I want to come to you, Amos Kevin Anand. Do I have an option if I am doing somebody's business and they say we can't have you any longer?
Unfortunately, you may have options, but they may be very minimal. Your option at the barest minimal will be to discuss with them terms of severance. Because like Uncle Austin rightly said, our narrative must change. And now we are all going to go with the mindset of putting ourselves in the shoes of each other. So the employer must place their shoes in the employee's shoes. And the employee must also place themselves in the shoes of the employer, who now is going to be hard hit because the revenue that used to be is no more. I've heard of media houses talk about advertising because the products are not being purchased. Why? Because our priorities and preferences as consumers and customers have changed. And so there are some products that will not be purchased at this material moment. I remember Easter. Just Thursday prior to the Easter, services, I took a shot of my wardrobe. I had ironed my clothes and polished my shoe for Easter Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it hit me hard that I've stayed home, never wore a shoe. And yet I had the shoes there. So all of a sudden, the things that I had that are material are no longer essential. Now I have to think of how to stay safe. And staying safe did not require wearing a shoe. It now requires you wearing a mask. It requires you now having a sanitizer or a washing basin or a Veronica bucket. Many homes didn't have Veronica buckets, but all of a sudden now they have Veronica buckets at the front door. And when you are coming to your own home, you have to wash your hands. I mean, so the employee may have some option, but it is conversational. Talk to your bosses. Some of them may be willing to hire you and reduce your pay, maybe by half. And that may not be the hard approach that normally you take. And so we should take away this element of litigation. I think that word has to be dropped in our lexicon in these times. And labor unions and group formations that exist should tone down on the choice of words, the tempo, and the heat that we generate. We're a nation that tends to love heat. And we think that heat is what, brings results. Not at all. Not in these times, because these are not normal times.
Yeah.
So if you do your things the way you have always done, you are likely not going to have any results. Now, the other thing is this, that employees must now look at how can I also take advantage of the platform of the online systems. Can I produce content for people who are consuming things online? I've seen some innovations. Cartoonists doing illustrations and all those kinds of things going up. So the guy who did data analysis is now being called because you have to check data for us. Statistics is now becoming all of a sudden a very important part of our life. So everybody's skill, like Uncle Game said, we have to begin to tweak our skills and upscale it, and then bring it to the fore. And you never know who would be willing to purchase that. But there are people who are also looking for new things to purchase, and they are there.
Let's get our viewers to join us via phone. You can give us a call, 030221169102. You can also send us messages. We've got our WhatsApp number ready as well. So send us WhatsApp messages there and give us a call right now. Phone lines open, 030221169102. I want us to spend just some few minutes talking about the relationship matter. Mr. Game, you started off by saying, you've had some issues brought to your table. What is dominating all the concerns, the things that are coming to you?
Yeah, it's not strange, but it's now raised to another proportional level that could become a real tussle in this country shortly. A lot of marriages are on the block. The problem is that some people have lost their jobs, like you said, and because of the immediate past of them not working together cooperatively as a family, as people who claim they love each other. Now there is a demand on the man to provide, and he is unable to provide because he can't even go to work. And so the woman is selling a little bit of ice water along the road, is now the breadwinner and want to dictate. Maybe not want to dictate, but want the narrative to change. And the man is not used to that. And so it has become an issue. I have a number of issues that have been brought to me now, and I'm seeking to have them have a pre-mediation meeting with them and help them to resolve it. Where we have the capacity, so we'll be able to help some of them. I don't know who else will help them. And so it's a major issue. And then labor-related issues have become also part of it. And in all these things, it's about now marriages are online. Friends are no longer talking, and it's a major issue. I have a lot of them on my table. If you can come and help, let's solve it.
No. This is for you and you only. We can only pray for you and wish you well. Let's pick a few phone calls. Jerry is calling from Kumasi. Jerry, good morning.
Good morning, madam.
Yes, sir. Thank you for reaching out. Let's hear you.
Yeah. This pandemic has been affecting my job because I'm an architect. And, sometimes you do away from the foreigners, those who living abroad. Yeah. So right now I've employed 1 or 2 guys because of the work. So I will tell them they should stay home a bit so that everything is going well, and then I'll be call them back. So it has affected our job very well.
Well, we apologize for that, but just still keep hope alive. Al-Hassan is in Kumasi. Al-Hassan, good morning. What's your story?
Good morning, madam.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please, I would like to talk a little about our relationships with our family.
Go ahead, Al-Hassan.
Okay. I am a government worker. I have been in a work for more than a decade. And seriously, I don't have much time for my partner. But due to this pandemic, I'm here with her, and seriously, things are not all that easy. You see, so let's pray and then see what
I beg. Let's talk about that something.
We know each other right now more than what we already know about ourselves.
Al-Hassan, not so quick. Tell us about, because you were smiling at a point. So what is it like? What are you getting used to now?
Seriously, I used to help her in our daily housework. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm getting used to batting our baby girl. sometimes cleaning the house and etc.
Okay. Aha. All right, Al-Hassan, well, enjoy it. Get used to it. This is the new normal. But I'm happy you're taking it all well. It's good to hear, Roland.
Mama B.
Yes, Afo.
Hello, Mama B. Can you imagine, in the midst of the unusual, we venture to do the unfamiliar? Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
The unfamiliar may be unsettling for many of us, discomforting, but gradually, with effort, sacrifice, and willingness, we would then desire that to be a new familiar. So I'm very happy for Al-Hassan. What they need to understand is that we work together. You see, the emphasis on working together or being better together is always to be preferred over I am good alone. Those people in relationships and marriages who have lived their lives as good alone, all of a sudden are together and cannot come to terms with the fact that now we have to adjust and be flexible so that we will be better together. I am hoping that out of this COVID-19, I will be a better me. And each one of us must strive to be a better me in every aspect of our lives, especially in the home setting. We will have tensions, we will have discomforts, there will be some conflicts. Let us not run away from conflicts. Conflicts are part and inherent in human endeavor. Wherever there
Yeah. Mr. Game, what finally would you us with?
There is potentially conflict.
Okay.
And let us find ways of creatively managing our differences.
All right. Amos, Kevin, I think we lost you a bit there, but you know, you came up to finish that. So let's end with you, Mr. Game.
Apologies, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We still got what you said. Mr. Game, what would you arm us with all the things that we're faced with?
Okay, okay, all right, okay.
Yeah, I have been, like I said, I've been listening to news extensively, and I have observed my fears all these years that. And let me mention some 4 people. Let me mention Dr. Randiabe of Randiabe, Evans Mensah, your own, and then the pair of you, Mamavi and Roland. I followed in Ghana extensively all the media houses as much as I could, and the way we ask our questions. We'll also have to change. The way the use of language in the media space will also have to change. And I've seen that the two of you being pairs, Evans Mensah, also of Joy, and Dr. Randy Abbey, you have elevated yourselves to an appreciable level of how you ask questions and your manner of use of language. And I intend even coming over to tell you people, but this is an opportunity to mention it and to say that we need to rediscover ourselves and use appropriate language, because the misuse of language is part of the problem we are having. Governments will also have to change its ways of doing things. People in minority leadership will also have to change their ways. All of us, people who are in the clergy, people who are in academia, everybody, including myself, we all have to change completely the way we do things, because we have lived and contributed in some negative ways and in many ways. And today, the pandemic has really brought all of us to our knees. And so we must not continue in the traditional way we do things any longer.
Okay.
I am praying that businesses would bounce back, but slowly, and people must learn to accept that it will be very, very slow. And finally, let me say that it's up to all of us not to deliberately keep quiet and allow people to throw us into garbage.
Okay.
That's all I have to say.
All right.
Oh,
Thank you for your time, gentlemen. Thank you for helping us with this very important conversation. We wish you well, and please stay safe.
Enjoy
it's an honor
too.
Thank you.
Enjoy
all right.
Joy,
yes, Joy also joined us earlier.
Okay.
Thank you to all those of you who also reached out on our Facebook
and WhatsApp
posts. When we come back, we've got M. Dots live, and we're dropping his new sound. But in the meantime, enjoy this one that he did featuring Promise, and it's Miniwara.
And what a conversation. Manifest, just bringing it on. We know the year. Bayawa. Vumuyazo. And talking about one who has always made the industry quite exciting the last couple of years. Lawyer Inti. That's his character name though. And we can associate him with Ketia and Makola. Well,
okay, wait. Point of correction. Ketia Makola Lawyer Inti. He retired though. I haven't heard of a lawyer who has retired. Do lawyers retire?
I shock. Taleyabi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Hey, brah.
What have you been up to? I've seen a lot of your skits on YouTube, and I get fascinated each time.
Thank you. I'm doing my best.
Wait, it looks like you're working on your English too, because you're speaking correct. Oh,
I have been working on it. But I mean, I'm always learning, so yes.
I said, well, L, no, R, Nasisa Kakra.
And to say,
oh, but good to see you. Listen, this whole COVID has forced a lot of us to be indoors. We can imagine you also stuck somewhere, but fortunately, you didn't cross any border. So
no, I didn't. So I'm here in Ghana, Kumasi precisely.
I thought it was the Kumasi that was the Ghana.
Oh yes.
So what have you been up to? I mean, how badly has COVID disrupted your whole plan for 2020?
Like every other artist or business, I think that before the year began, we all had plans of doing a lot of things. And a month to the time COVID came to Ghana, I had already negotiated about 5 gigs. And most of them were for students and a few for some companies. And we had to stay home. So everything got cancelled. And so, I mean, it's been difficult dealing with this whole situation. And especially for us, we have to go join people to act, movies, series, and other things. But because everybody is staying home, as it were, so to protect ourselves, you can't work, and so it's been like that. The little things you can do in your home or with the people around you, you put it out there.
But I mean, around this, I haven't heard lawyers complain. Or I think you are the first lawyer who is complaining that, you know, COVID has put you out of business, Kakra.
I'm complaining as Richmond. Lawyer, I'm okay. I've been doing consultation for companies, international banks, and other things. That's how I stopped the Ghana law. I want to do international law.
International law. You're practicing international law.
Yes, but I don't like Ghana law again.
Yeah, but we're in a situation where now we're restricted in terms of the movement, etc. But the few times you go out, what usually is the reaction towards you? Because I know that we have to wear face masks in interaction. Yeah. So it means that you may not necessarily be identified.
Yes, I mean, sometimes when you go somewhere, you want people, you'd rather people don't see you and come close to you. And especially this moment, somebody will come and say, I want to take a picture. So with the mask, I cover up to here, and so you only see my eyes. So by the time you are able to say, this is the empty, I might be gone by then. So it's been good. Wearing the mask has been helpful in a way.
Now, how do you project that the industry, especially where you operating within the entertainment sector, is going to go from now to the post-COVID period?
Things are not going to be the same. Even if we say that COVID is no more with us, for the rest of the rest of the year remaining, things are not going to be the same. When somebody around you coughs, you are still going to look at the person somewhere. When somebody sneezes, you are going to, I mean, so yes, it's going to affect work, because as an actor, you have to be in character to do your thing. And somebody can cough whilst on set, somebody can cough whilst acting. And you may be tempted to get out of the break character, as it were, so to respond to that. I mean, consciously or unconsciously, you might be doing that. And so it's going to still be with us, even if it goes along.
Loyalty, you're a comedy actor, you're also a writer, and you're a director. Have you taken your works virtually? I mean, are you able to direct virtually? You can fool online too, right?
Oh, I try my best. I mean, whatever to make people laugh. That's how people know me. So you have to try to get people to laugh. Whatever you are doing, you have to find a way to squeeze in something small to get people to laugh. So that is how they know you.
Yeah, great. But how is that working? How is that working for you, taking things virtual?
Well, it's tough. You see, when you are doing something for somebody and they are around you, you have a life audience. It's different. You're able to feed off their energy. But if you have to do it, edit it and put it out there, or stand in front of your camera, do it, you're not going to feel the reaction. And so you're just projecting how people are going to feel in your mind. And of course, some jokes you may feel are funny, people won't laugh. And some of the things you might feel, okay, this one it's not that funny, but let me add it. That is what's going to get people talking and laughing. And so it's difficult, because you need the energy, you need the one-on-one thing to feed off and, get you going.
My last question to you, I'll leave the rest for Roland. Now that you're an international lawyer, I'm not sure if it's investment or whatever you're doing, maybe commercial law that you're doing. How many cases do you have?
The international law?
Yes.
Oh, I'm consulting for many companies and international figures. Some cases that are still in court and we are dealing with them. And because of the court issues, I may not be able to mention them, but I'm defending a lot of people. Yeah. Donald Trump and some people are.
You consult for Donald Trump?
Defending people. Yeah, they are consulting me on cases, and yes.
So how about the Ghanaian clients the Ghanaian clients that you used to have, no?
All my Ghana clients, I don't know what about them they are doing right now, because I have lived them. But some people are still begging me that, please, continue to help me. Because if you don't help me, I don't know what I'm going to do about myself. But as somebody who has a heart that is pounding like this, I'm help them some way that I can help them.
But then it's how you do.
Yeah. Okay. So look, we have to leave this conversation. And what will be your best advice? What do you also, when you encounter your fans or the population that you tend to also interact with, what do you tell them about the COVID experience?
I think that right now, it's not somebody who is going to tell you that COVID is here or COVID is not here. COVID is here. People have died the whole world. So some people who are still saying that COVID is not in Ghana, some people are doing that to fear the people. I don't understand. Please, take your time. COVID is here. It's sitting somewhere, standing somewhere to wait for you. If you joke with him, he's going to kill you. Take your time. Wear your mask. Everybody should wear their mask and go home. Go and, if you have to go somewhere, please wear the mask before you go. Don't go like that. Okay? Yeah, thank you. God bless all the Ghana people. And keep support what we are doing to help Ghana.
I can't imagine that you have international clients and you talk to them like that.
Yeah. The English is their own language. It's not that you don't know English. That's why if I talk, you think that it's something. I don't know why Joy is so make you sit there cry. You are right. Because the English you are speaking is not correct.
It's not correct.
I take my time to teach you. That's why I'm not talking fast. I'm talking slow so that you understand. When I talk to my English people there, I strang it. I speak fast. They know it's English.
All right. Loyalty.
Listen,
it's a good time. At least we're distressing. I like the way you tend to transition into character. It's so beautiful.
Oh my God!
Thank you very much.
Lawyer Bakope, I'll hire you. This guy here, he's been disturbing me.
You come here and let me see the case before you hire me.
No, my colleague Roland, he's been disturbing me and harassing me.
Harassment.
I want a very good lawyer.
I like that. That one is my best job. I like it.
What are your charges?
Harassment is there. What about what?
Your charges. How much will you charge? Money.
Money there. I can take about 2,000.
Just for
dollars. Rather, I'll go out. I'll go out of Ghana, so I don't take Ghana money. So all the law, I say I'm international to the thing I'm going to do.
But this is a Ghanaian case. I'm a Ghanaian.
The law don't care. The law don't care where you come from. So what the law is saying is what we are going to do.
Okay, I hear you. I will call you after the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Loyalty.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Richmond. Loyalty. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, we have more interaction. We have to interact with some.
We've got DKB also on the show, but Kadi's got this one. Kadi's got this one. We need a breather so we can drink water and wait for DKB. Stay with us. There's more to laugh about here on the show.
Good morning, I'm Kadi, and this is Showbiz right here on the AM show. And this morning we're going to be talking with comedian DKB, and he's going to be, talking to us about what he's been up to, how he's been coping with the whole coronavirus thing, how it's affecting his, his career as a comedian, and also with a new challenge that he has on Instagram, dubbed hashtag Make Me Laugh. And this is about, connecting with fans and trying to, discover new talent, new comedians. And he will be talking to us about that. Now, DK, good morning. Good morning. DKB, can you hear me? Okay, so we're still working on the sound to get to DKB, but we are going to be talking about how he's coping during the whole coronavirus thing, how it's affecting his career as a comedian, and also with the new challenge that he has on Instagram Live, dubbed the hashtag Make Me Laugh, and that's interacting with his fans, trying to, you know, discover new comedians. And he talks with fans, and then they tell jokes, and whoever tells the best jokes wins prizes. You can win recharge cards, you can win pizzas and stuff. So he's going to be talking to us about that. And if you've not heard of this challenge, it started on Tuesday, and there's DKB. Good morning, DKB.
Morning. Can you see me?
I can see you clearly. How are you doing?
Sorry, you guys are woken me up crazy this morning.
I'm very sorry about that. Yeah, but you look fine.
You guys are trying on.
You're a fine guy. You look fine. Don't worry.
Yeah. Natural makeup.
Yeah, you look very fine. I'm glad you're okay. Now, with this whole coronavirus thing going up, we know it's affected all of us. It's affected everybody. But I want to know, as a comedian, how exactly has this coronavirus pandemic, affected your career and then the shows that you used to do and stuff?
It has shut us down totally. Like, it has made us useless because our job is essentially about social gathering, and it's social gathering that spreads the virus. So for us, we have been hard hit. In fact, the hardest hit. It's like we literally can't do anything. We are like, right now we're like pastors without Bibles.
Wow.
You understand? We are like mechanics without tools. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're like journalists without a media house. We are useless right now. So it's up to you to find ways and means to still engage with the people. And that's how come I've taken advantage of this to reach to the people virtually so that we can have some fun. And it was a friend of mine at one competing media house, it's called Reverend Eskin, who told me that, listen, you can, he just threw it at me. We're just having a normal chat. And he said, you can probably come up with a show where people should make you laugh, because for time and time over, for years now, you have been making them laugh. I said, yeah, that's not a bad idea. People should make me laugh. I think it's only fair. So that I will, because people deserve to be pampered. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get you.
Yes, and then also, it will get to promote comedy in a different way. In a sense that now it's going to involve consumer participation.
Yeah.
Where they will, and where they'll get to understand and see what comedy goes through and how hard it is to do comedy. I'm telling you, we've had crazy different moments. Yesterday, for instance, one lady, I'm not going to mention her name, she gave us the longest joke.
Was it funny?
She narrated a joke for 10 minutes.
It wasn't funny.
10 minutes. So,
was it funny?
Is that what?
Was it funny?
It was funny in her head. In her head, it was funny. But before she would bring it out, it turned to Kwekwanas's story. 10 minutes. To the point where I asked her, so where is the punchline? She was like, oh, we passed the punchline. I'm not kidding. Real fact.
Okay.
And some people too were able to nail it. Like, one guy told a story about, he was doing special service at Ridge Hospital, and the man came with his child, and the child had swallowed the key. And then they were asking, hey, so if your child has swallowed key, for how long? He said, 3 months. They were like, 3 months? Your child has swallowed key for 3 months.
Wow.
And you've been quiet about how come you're not bringing your child to the hospital over key that he swallowed 3 months.
Okay.
Oh, 3 months ago, I had a spare key.
Oh my goodness. Okay, DKB, now that is funny. But DKB, these people, what do they get when they win this challenge that you've started?
Okay, so what happens is you would win. I started off with MTN credit.
Yeah.
MTN sponsored us with some credit, so MTN gave me some cards to scratch and send to the winners. Yes, and then artist pizza. So it was so good online. I had the Lily Rice CEO online secretly. I didn't know.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah.
I tell you. So 2 days ago, he was like, he said it live, like, you guys are doing so well. I want to sponsor with Lily Rice and all our products. So as I'm speaking, this is where I do the live. You can see the Lily Rice. It's all here. This is where I give the sound. So it's the sound.
Okay.
Yeah, this is where I do the live. So it's a good job.
Okay, yeah, so that was DKB. DKB, thank you so much for speaking with us this morning. And yeah, I think if we had more time, I would have asked him to make us laugh. You know, people are trying to make him laugh. But unfortunately, we don't have enough time. Roland is with me here. Roland?
Yeah. Quite interesting.
Yeah.
He is an interesting guy.
And I'll call in the next session. I will call in and try and tell a joke. At least I won't make it last for 10 minutes.
Definitely.
I mean, yeah.
Definitely.
I'll try that.
Well, that'll be it for the show. We hope that you've enjoyed it. Daniel Apiakubi, you work with GCNet. Have a great morning. Bye-bye and enjoy your weekend.